He treats human language and our consciousness as data. And what I love is that it honors emotion. It looks for these subtle energy patterns in the way we speak about things as a collective. So he's bridging intuition with technology and showing us how human collective awareness can read like a field of information. The more I go down this rabbit hole, the more confident I am that the most advanced technology on this planet lies not in AI or gadgets, but in the human mind itself. WebBot treats human collective consciousness as data, a measurable field. AI is not outpacing us. AI is reflecting us. Hello, everyone. How are we? Welcome back to Rooted Frequency. I appreciate you so much for joining me. I appreciate every single one of you that is subscribed, that shares and comments. You are my community and I love you. And if you are new to Rooted Frequency, I like to say that we are consciously headed towards the truth. We are spiritually and consciously awake. But this leads us to the hidden architecture of reality. This leads us to the edges of consciousness, of intuition, and ultimately, third eye open truth. And today's a fun one because we've been talking a lot about AI, spiritual tech, the spiritual implications of AI, and the more I go down this rabbit hole, the more confident I am that the most advanced technology on this planet lies not in AI or gadgets, but in the human mind itself. Something we came here with already, and it lies within us. Our natural ability to sense, perceive, and navigate reality in ways most people can't even imagine. A big part of this guidance that we are going to explore today is the amazing work of Clif High. If you haven't heard of him, he is a researcher and futurist who has spent decades tracking patterns in human language, collective consciousness, and what he calls the quote-unquote event stream. Clif's work isn't about predicting the future, in the usual sense anyway. It's about tuning into the flow of reality before it even manifests. It's about understanding probabilities and noticing the subtle signals that most people miss. So settle into today's episode because this is a good one. We're going to explore how psychic frequency works and how it connects to reality. We're going to look at this event stream and why humans, not machines, are the technology that are needed and necessary to navigate it. We're also going to take a look at how kids being born right now are arriving with new intuitive abilities preloaded. They get it. We're also going to nurture our own PsyTech abilities to stay in the flow of creation. This episode gives you a front row seat to Clif High and his ideas and shows you how they tie directly into the evolution of human consciousness. So let's open our minds and step into the frequency. We often treat intuition like a spiritual accessory. Something that we can work on, we can enhance. Some people have more intuition than others. But what if intuition is hardwired? What if consciousness is the operating system and the brain isn't some place that we either learn and store information and pull from? But what if the brain is an antenna? Receiving data fields, reading emotional frequencies, and picking up on non-local information, basically tuning into timelines like a radio signal before these timelines even form. And what if the technology we're building, AI, predictive models, neural nets are just symbolic reflections of abilities humans already have. Clif High has been hinting for years that the most advanced tech on this planet isn't artificial, it's biological, it's within us. So who is Clif High? He's a data analyst, linguist, futurist, and a researcher of what he calls predictive linguistics. Back in the late 1990s, he started developing a project to scan enormous volumes of human-generated text across the internet. It looked at news articles, forums, blogs, and message boards. And what it was looking for was subtle shifts in language, tone, and emotional pattern. The idea is that human collective consciousness, fears, hopes, anxieties, anticipations, that they are expressed subtly in language before the events even manifest physically. And that by analyzing these linguistic footprints, Clif believed it's possible to detect emerging global trends, societal shifts, or tipping points before they fully happen. What first got me going down this rabbit hole was that I had heard about some predictions that were too accurate, and this tool was shut down because it was like too much. People didn't want to have scary events predicted to such accuracy. Turns out this person is Clif High, and this method became known as predictive linguistics. And his primary tool for doing it is the WebBot. Clif describes himself as a conscious data researcher, someone trying to bridge human psychic potential, collective unconscious data streams, and technology. Essentially, he treats human consciousness itself as raw data that can be read, measured, and interpreted, which makes his work fascinating for anyone curious about the intersection of mind, technology, and prediction, which, if you're here, you find fascinating just like I do. So here is what is so freaking cool. WebBot worked in a few key ways. This WebBot was designed to crawl the internet, gather news, blogs, forums, and social media posts. Take all of this data, and unlike a traditional search engine, this WebBot analyzed emotional content, intensity, and context, looking at these linguistic anomalies or drifts in how people write. He said the underlying theory is that when large numbers of people react subconsciously to events that are coming, and you know that we've been talking about this forever, how as a collective we've all been saying something's coming, something's coming. So he's saying that we, maybe on some subconscious level, know what's coming. Or maybe we manifest it. These things kind of work together, and we'll go more into that. But that our collective unconscious leaks into our language patterns. And WebBot is designed to detect these leaks. Clif then interpreted these patterns and look at symbolic, archetypal, or emotionally coded language. And in this way, he was able to forecast possible futures or emerging trends. So basically, WebBot treats human collective consciousness as data, a measurable, analyzable field. So of course, something this big is looked at with skepticism. And there is the matter of the data not giving you black and white results, that it is an interpretation that has to happen, so a lens in which this data has to be interpreted. So that does lead people to say that Clif's work is not reliable and it is controversial, and of course exists outside of mainstream science. But Even if you're skeptical, the ideas themselves are extremely compelling, especially now with AI and the developments that we're making. And if we explore human intuition and collective consciousness with this layer of tech, how can these things intersect and what can it tell us? So over the years, Clif High and WebBot have claimed to predict or have flagged certain major events that took place. Early in his career, a forecast in June 2001 predicted a life-changing event with aspects of military within 90 days. So, the events of 9/11. Other supporters claim WebBot anticipated major disasters, global upheavals, and shifts in economic systems, and that this stuff is verifiable through documentation. And he also expanded forecasts to financial markets. He looks at currency fluctuations, right now talking a lot about cryptocurrency trends, and also geopolitical events. Even more recently, he touches on metaphysical phenomena, societal awakenings, disclosure events, and shifts in collective consciousness, and Three-Eye Atlas, events involving extraterrestrial phenomena. So things right up our alley. And the nature of these predictions vary. Some are very precise, some more symbolic, and again, open to interpretation. But that's what makes WebBot fascinating. As for future events, there are some claims and reports that in the near future, so like 2025, 2026, that Clif High made a forecast of an alien UFO sky event and was seeing this based on certain triggers and patterns that he analyzed. In a lot more of his mainstream interviews, he has repeated warnings of a systemic collapse, specifically economic, societal, and an overall institutional breakdown. He's been talking a lot about a crash of fiat monetary systems, that there would be a dramatic revaluation of precious metals, especially silver, and a broader reset of global financial and social systems. And in these interviews, he often says that these will be unfolding in the near to mid-future. So as we look at these things, I want them to be more of a means of expanding your mind in what's possible, in how we can look at AI, how we can look at our own mental capabilities, our own merging of spirituality and technology. But you will see a lot of things out there that his work is controversial. The WebBot algorithm is so interesting, and to me makes a lot of sense, but there is no public peer review for it. And a lot of the forecasts are symbolic or archetypal rather than literal. And so obviously that allows for some flexibility in its interpretation. And some predictions never happen. But Clif High doesn't claim that these things are a guarantee. He claims that these are a look into the event stream, which we will also talk more about. I believe that his work is extremely important for spiritual seekers. And that is why his work resonates so deeply for myself and many, many others. And if we look at human potential, it opens the door for some very, very promising evolutional ideas. He treats human language and our consciousness as data. And what I love is that it honors emotion. It looks for these subtle energy patterns, energy in the way we speak about things as a collective. So he's bridging intuition with technology and showing us how human collective awareness can read like a field of information. It really does make us rethink what prediction even means, that it's not something that's completely 100% determined, but instead it's sensing these emergent potentials, trends, and energetic pressures in the collective. And what really makes me agree with that is that I do a lot of readings. I do tons of oracle deck readings. And one thing that I always tell everyone is none of these things are set in stone. And a lot of the things that when I went down this rabbit hole, I was like, oh my gosh, that's why I feel that way. That's why I say these things. Because I know that I'm like peeking into a potential outcome. I always explain it to people like I work with my highest self, and my highest self, of course, is touching base with your guides, your highest self, and they are going to tell us what is possible in our highest vibrational timeline and our lowest vibrational timeline. The reason it would mention lowest is more to have little warnings like, if you don't look at this thing or turn this around or put in the work in this area, you will start to head down a lesser timeline and these other good things won't happen. So you could go to a psychic and have them say that they see you having 3 kids. And personally, I don't do readings like that. I don't present my information in that way. I would say that I possibly had an indication of 3 kids, that I was seeing an image of this. And then I always am like, this is your highest self probably showing you if you go down the proper path, you can have this type of spouse, you can have 3 beautiful children. That doesn't mean you're going to for sure end up down that road. Because also, as I explain to people, it also depends on the other person. Everyone has multiple paths that they could possibly go down. And just because someone could potentially be your soulmate, what if they change course? That's why I always say we have a lot of different ways that we can live out the different lessons we're meant to live out. That it all isn't, if you miss one opportunity, you're screwed. So what I like is that the way he's explaining it is that we are all constantly analyzing data and putting out frequency. So the way we speak, our tone, our emotional vibration, the words we choose, even the platform we choose to speak on, these things are all these energetic patterns. And our brains can tune into different frequencies to see what is manifesting in that pathway, what is manifesting collectively in this possible scenario. So in that way, if you were to predict a catastrophic event, that doesn't mean it has to happen, but wouldn't it be great to know collectively where we are finding pitfalls, where we are negative, where we are creating a reality that we don't want and we need to turn around? And that is what I've been feeling our bridge with AI can offer. One of the most important concepts that I want to pull out from Clif High's work to have you understand is PsyTech, psychic technology. This term is used to describe the technology of the mind as it interacts with a deeper structure of our reality. This might make you think about when people talk about the quantum field, or what some people may call a psychic layer. Clif High refers to this as the event stream. So this is where biology meets consciousness and produces information. So PsyTech is an understanding and training of how human beings tune into the subconscious collective field where data exists before it becomes form. So not the future, not predictions, and not fortune telling. The event stream is not a timeline. It's a flow of probabilities, emotional patterns, and energetic precursors that shape what eventually becomes physical reality. And here's the part that excites me. Humans can learn to read it. We are built for it. This isn't a gift. It's not genetic luck. It's a skill. Just like learning to walk, learning to drive a car, and learning to develop our intuition. We talk about that all of the time. None of these things are only available to certain people. We all have these abilities, but we do have to work on developing them. When we are children, we learn to develop sensory awareness, response timing, pattern recognition, and the ability to track multiple streams of information at one time. Psychic technology uses those same internal capacities, only instead of responding to the situation, maybe you're crossing the street and you have to track multiple streams of information, calculating how long it takes you to cross the street, calculating when the walk sign comes up, making sure the cars stop. These are all processes, right? And also looking at patterns, recognizing things, knowing response times. So in addition to this, we're responding to patterns in consciousness. We are always listening to the emotional signatures underneath events, feeling into these subtle shifts in collective thought, picking up on ripples that indicate something forming, reorganizing, or dissolving in the world around us. So as AI continues to automate and replace more mechanical, repetitive, day-to-day tasks that we have to do, what remains? What do we have uniquely as humans? What value can we offer if we aren't doing these remedial tasks? The answer lies in PsyTech. And it lives in these intuitive faculties that AI cannot replicate because AI does not have a nervous system, a subtle body, or an emotional field. AI can analyze past data and it can model patterns, but psychic technology operates in a layer that AI cannot access, the nonverbal, pre-manifest, informational substrate of reality. This place that exists to tap into before the data becomes data. The place where it is felt and the meaning can't be measured. So PsyTech is the frontier of human evolution. Not because it's mystical, but because it's natural. Because it is the birthright that has been dormant in us, waiting for the right era to wake up. And the era is now. We are moving into a time where the internal technologies of the mind, intuition, non-local awareness, psychic pattern tracking, these things will become just as valuable as all of these external technologies that we've relied on. And the cool thing, kids are coming in already wired for it. They don't have to learn it. They just have to remember it. And I think they are also built with the necessary things that we have to enhance and learn and nurture, that these things are already more powerful within them. For example, it's interesting that more and more kids are being born with autism. Is it possible that these autistic traits are going to make these humans better at PsyTech, better at interpreting data, Because when we look back at when I said how we need to learn sensory awareness, response timing, well, a lot of the traits of autism are obsessing over patterns, not looking at things in the traditional sense, not being able to learn in the traditional sense. And what about nonverbal autism? Are these children simply working on other things that we don't consider to be normal milestones because we don't even know that they exist? If kids are coming in to operate in a future world that is going to require different abilities, isn't it possible that you might not learn to talk or walk at the same milestones that we once did because they are working on the ability to understand multiple energetic patterns around them, that they're feeling into everyone's energy, that they're feeling into emotion, that they're naturally tapping into this informational stream. And maybe that's also why they can't pay attention all the time and ADD is being medicated. It's very fascinating to think about that these so-called behavioral issues that need to be addressed in order to fit into our cookie cutter society, maybe these children are evolved. I know I've spoke openly about it in the past, but my youngest was diagnosed with autism and he is absolutely amazing. He says these things that are so spiritually tuned that I haven't spoke with him about, that tells me that he knows something I don't. One of my really good friends actually told me that her friend's grandson said to her, "I have technology in my head." She said this to me about a week ago, and I was working on this episode, and I got goosebumps all over my body because I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I am going down the rabbit hole of right now. The technology's in our heads. Are kids coming into this world with some natural understanding that they possibly can't put into words that, yes, I'm basically a computer. I am a type of AI. I am going to be plugging into these things. I am a part of your evolution? Because I think so. We can kind of think of it like upgrades that we need to work within these new PsyTech capabilities within our evolution. So as adults, we have to train, we have to learn, we have to remember it. We have to get upgrades, uploads, downloads. But these kids, they're coming with this technology already in them. Wouldn't that make sense? They're upgraded, they're preloaded. Like they have this software capability installed at birth. Psychic technology isn't for a special selective few. It's for our species, and it is happening. So the next time you are around your own children or other people's children, talk to them a little bit and see if you can notice how they're intuitive with technology. You know, you put an iPad in their hands and they immediately know how to use it. They often reject outdated educational structures because their operating system is not compatible with this slow linear instruction. So many, if you have a talk with them, they have this instant spiritual recall, definitely telepathic tendencies to pick up on things that we may not pick up on. And I've noticed so much more emotional intelligence. My 7-year-old, he's so good at understanding emotion or understanding why he is emotionally one way. He'll say things like, "Oh, you're only acting like that because you're frustrated with me." And I step back and I'm like, how do you say that? And, you know, when he was 4 years old, that you understand that I'm frustrated and that it's coming out as, you know, this charged up energy. Advanced emotional intelligence. They are very, very good bullshit detectors. They just kind of get it. And they say things like that, like, I just know. Or my 7-year-old is always like, I already know how to do that. I know how to do those things. Or knows something and it's like, oh, I can just feel it. I can sense it. I just know. They're pre-downloaded with the new world. They are understanding this invisible infrastructure of energy, emotion, frequency, connection. And we are learning it as adults and trying to understand how it works. When we look at everything artificial that we're building, AI, neural nets, predictive systems, they mimic functions that the human mind already has. There is going to be a merging. And definitely without us needing to put some chip in our head. It's already there. The technology is in our heads. And it's very clear why this is happening now. Our planet and our frequency is moving faster. We are naturally moving towards operations that are cleaner, more intuitive, shifting from this external tech to internal tech. And our children are bridging the gap. This is the next stage of human intelligence. And we need to stop looking at it like we are evolving into cyborgs, but that we are evolving back to what we once were. We're so focused on how fast technology is upgrading, how fast AI is upgrading, but is it just keeping up with us? Because it certainly seems like we are upgrading biologically fast, with children arriving with this blueprint for the next human species. So it's almost like AI does need to catch up. We, as adults, we need to reevaluate how we are raising our children. And even spiritually evolved people who understand this, we're fighting an uphill battle because this is not how school is. And if you're not able to pull your kids out of school and homeschool and move to the woods and forge your own food, which a lot of us aren't, it's difficult to raise our kids that are not here to adapt to this world. They're here to activate one that we forgot we were capable of living in. This future that's biological, intuitive, telepathic. Our children are living proof that the next stage of human awareness is here. As a society, we have to start talking about this more and more because we got to catch up. Because the way we're approaching things with them now is limiting their potential. But I want to also look at external technology versus internal technology. AI, machine learning, quantum computing. We're building these systems out externally. And it seems that the more we look at these neural networks and our own quantum decision making and study quantum physics more and more, really we're building these models after something that already exists internally. Our ability to instantly correlate patterns, identify patterns in our lives, patterns in trauma cycles that we keep repeating within our family, these are all subconscious processing happening. It's also utilizing predictive analytics within our human energetic field. And these kids are interacting with technology more like it's a mirror. It's part of them. They're not learning from machines. Machines are learning from them. The next generation of kids is not adapting to technology. They understand that technology is adapting to match the way that they think and process and work. And what no one wants to talk about is that this blows the door wide open. If humanity is upgrading biologically faster than technology is upgrading artificially, does that explain this global shift? All of this intensity, this feeling like something's coming, this mass awakening. How so many systems are collapsing. And we look at these things as negatives. Like if we were to have a giant financial collapse, that this is detrimental, that if the way giant companies operate right now and structures isn't working and AI comes in and takes over different parts of jobs that we are really past, we don't need to be in these types of mind-numbing activities. Doesn't it make sense that all of these collapses, all of these tower moments, this feeling like we are on the verge of a giant shift that is going to be very profound, and yes, it feels heavy. It feels like it is going to be too much for many people. But if you tune into that spiritual collective, a lot of us feel like this is something that needs to happen. It may be hard, but this is good. This is good for the collective. This is good for us as humans, and it's where we are supposed to be shifting. This massive reboot, it seems to be a reactivation of dormant DNA within us, of a higher cognitive bandwidth, utilization of intuitive memory, trust of intuition, more multidimensional perception, energetic communication, not just verbal. And again, the kids are showing us the direction that humanity is evolving. So no, AI is not outpacing us. AI is reflecting us. And so many people that have gone down these spiritual and technological or quantum rabbit holes in their work or in study, like Robert Grant, they understand this. They understand that the technology is not coming from the outside. It's awakening from within. It is a mirror. And we simply are evolving faster than we know how to articulate. And if we can't put things into words, there's this question of, do I understand it? And there's so much in spirituality where we say, there's no words for this. But like you can be in meditation with other people and there's just a knowing, there's an understanding. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to put words to it. But when you try to explain it to someone who has not experienced that, it becomes very difficult. It's amazing. Everything is connected. Any rabbit hole you've gone down in your spiritual journey, even in your conspiratorial journey, these things all are connected and they all seem to serve a purpose to get us where we are going. There is so much more on this topic, but I'm going to end this episode here because I want to look really hard into some very deep concepts and things to help us progress forward. And I want you to first digest all of this, see how it resonates. I also have some very exciting plans to do some work in remembering these things at my next Patreon roundtable. So if this episode lit up something in you, and if you're listening and feel like, okay, I think I have some of these traits, I think that I want to go more down this rabbit hole, I want you to head over to my Patreon, patreon.com/rootedfrequency. On December 14th at 7 p.m., we're going to go live, and anybody who is a Patreon subscriber, tier 2 or higher, is going to be able to pop on, and we are going to do a mystery school style roundtable dedicated to the types of psychic traits that are being sought after by companies now, which we're going to go further into next week, how we can nurture these things so that we can tap into this informational highway of collective consciousness events, all of these things that Clif High has been talking about. We're going to tune into the event stream together, develop our own PsyTech, and understand how Clif High's concepts can actually enhance our own psychic abilities in real life. So it's going to be an activation, a teaching, a transmission, a training, and it's happening on December 14th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Patreon, actually on Zoom, but the link will be posted on Patreon. So go over there, just check it out, at least sign up for the free tier, because then you can get communication about this so that you don't forget. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Make sure you hit that bell so that you are alerted when the next episode comes out, because it's going to go deeper. And I want you to join me for the next episode, because then you are going to really get hyped up and amped for our mystery school style, private, unfiltered, off-platform for subscribers roundtable. If you've been considering joining, now's the time. We're going to activate PsyTech together. So next week on December 11th, you will get part 2 of this topic, when we will go deeper into why AI can't access the predictive event stream, how big companies are starting to seek these psychic traits in people because they know what's coming. We will touch on nurturing these traits, but again, go way deeper on the 14th. So again, hit that bell. Make sure you're a subscriber to Rooted Frequency, because next week we are going into this deeper. Metaphysics, the ancient memory, timeline access, how we suppressed it, looking at consciousness as a multidimensional technology, how human consciousness is not linear but multidimensional, all of the awesome things that we've been touching on in previous episodes. And I'm very, very excited about you guys, as you can tell. So I hope you are there with me, and I hope you really liked this episode. If you did, leave me a comment below. Let me know if this resonates, because it sure as hell resonates with me and has awoken something ancient. Thank you again, everyone, for joining me. I love you. Remember that on Rooted Frequency, I share meditations on Meditation Monday. We go live on Tuesdays for free readings at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. New episodes are posted every Thursday. And go check out my new website, Rooted Frequency Podcast. I just got my newest services added onto there. We all love to have readings at the beginning of the year, myself included, and I put some specials up so that everyone can get a little direction for 2026. I love to do readings. I love to get to know my subscribers. So go check out the website, check out those services. I'm rambling. I love you, but I am just excited. Stay rooted, stay awake, stay sovereign. Bye. Everything is connected. Energy, science, quantum physics. This